Last week, the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, was arrested and detained by the Nigerian police on allegations bordering on forgery and cyberstalking. Before his release on Friday, Mr. Sowore accused the Nigerian police of breaking his right wrist in detention, demanding an apology and urgent medical care.
However, the Nigerian police force dismissed allegations that the activist Omoyele Sowore was illegally arrested or tortured in custody. Well, joining us to address matters surrounding his arrest is the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, who's live with us via video conferencing. It's good to see you looking well rested and possibly in good health, I want to believe. How's your right wrist, if I may ask?
Well, I've been treating my hands that I got out of detention on Friday. So, you know, the struggle doesn't end with people like us. Soon I'm going to be on my way to another protest over the youth call lady who was denied her discharge certificate. So I'm always ready.
I'm hoping that we can have some time to talk about that, because we've seen that you've announced that there'll be a protest at 9 a.m. this morning in Abuja regarding Miss Rita Uche. Okay, but now let's come back to talk about your arrest. Lead us through the details of what happened. There have been allegations of cyber stalking. Where were you? How did this happen? And how did you get into police detention?
Well, I was invited by the police last week. They claimed that there were some petitions against me over allegations of cyber stalking and forgery. So initially, the first letter was not cyber stalking. It said forgery and inciting disturbance, and I was asked to appear based on a non-existent law, which was the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2025. So I wrote back to them to say, well, you know, these laws don't exist, and there's no offense known as inciting disturbance. And at any rate, if you're inviting me, can I have the petitions in advance? They wrote back and said they won't release the petitions in advance, but they changed the letter. And apparently we also requested for a change of date for yesterday. But when they replied, they said they can't wait till Monday, yesterday, we should come immediately. So on Wednesday, I drove there by myself, took my detention traveling bag, and we got to the team that was supposed to interrogate, and it didn't take quite 5 seconds before everything degenerated. They didn't have any valid reason for the invitation. They said the 2 petitions were written by the IG's office, and I made it clear to them that the IG has no right to be using his office to prosecute his enemies or whoever he thinks he wants. It's actually against the Police Act. So they immediately asked me to write a statement. I also educated them that I have a right to write a statement or remain silent, and I'm opting for silence. But at any rate, they had videos running. I said, you can take my statement from the video, transcribe it, and use it for whatever you want to do. So because it was pre-planned, they opted to detain me. And then they showed me from afar a detention order that they said they obtained from a magistrate court. And it was there that I saw cybercrime as the main reason for my arrest and detention. So they declared my arrest after I opted not to write a statement. And that was the beginning of what played out the whole of last week for 48 hours.
Now, Mr. Sowore, let's talk about the nature of the allegations against you. The police claim they acted on credible allegations and that investigations are ongoing. Can you tell us what exactly you've been accused of, whether you have seen the petitions at this point in time or evidence being relied upon, and why you believe these charges are or not politically motivated?
So there should be 2 petitions. One was from, like I said, they're both written by the IGP's admin office, which in itself is a bogey. Then secondly, I saw the first one was they claimed that I forged a police wireless document. And when we asked them for the original, they showed it to us and they were the same, other than the fact that there was panic written over the one they claim was forged. So they quickly put them together and ran away with that one. The second one was written by the PSO to the IGP, the one lady, Bukola Yemisi Kuti, who was one of the ladies that claimed Sahara reporters cyber-stalked her by revealing that she was the IG's mistress. That was the second petition. And I told them that since this was against Sahara reporters, there's nowhere could be held responsible, accountable for what Sahara reporters did, because it's a separate entity from myself, even though I founded it some 19 years ago. So it was obvious that they couldn't sustain those two things. And then just so that they can cover up this particular flaw, the next day, they came with 3 different more petitions and said they were written by lawyers. I think they want to recruit some lawyers to write fresh petitions against me because they realized that this can't hold up anymore. But that was after they had invaded my cell at 6 a.m. and broken my hand with 8 policemen led by a CSP. So I was detained that night, and then the next morning, 6 a.m., they came to my detention center, cell. Very terrible detention, by the way. One of the most terrible I've been in a long time. And this said, we're going to court at 6 a.m. And I said, this is kind of very suspicious. A court in Abuja that's more than 20 minutes away from here. So why don't we wait till about 8 a.m.? So they descended on me with all these policemen. Forced me, I didn't have any clothes on. I insisted I must put on my clothes. They said, no, you can't put on your clothes. And they started dragging me and twisting my hand. I was where I sustained a hand injury. And eventually drove me to another facility, the place they call Abatio, detained me there until Friday, when eventually they came and released me on bail.
Wow, it seems like there's a lot that happened between that period. But there's a back and forth. Your lawyers say that they broke your arm. The police have put out their own statement saying that they did not. I think you've painted a picture of how it happened, maybe due to the dragging of back and forth to a place you say they called Abattoir, and that's where they took you to. But all of this, what's actually the need or the push for the police to actually arrest you? Is this as a result of the fact that you have stood out to fight for former police officers citing their pension having been paid, or is it because you were engaged in the protest prior to this where you had called the IGP to quit because you say he is not your IGP? What do you think is really the reason behind all of these arrests?
I think it's a combination of my opposition to impunity in the country, but I think the IGP, the person who I refuse to accept as my IG, as you said, has taken it personal. And this is what's wrong with Nigeria, where you have people who don't even understand their role in society, just assuming responsibilities that are bigger than their mind or their capacity. So that's what is known as mediocrity. Don't forget that in January, February, he also got me arrested and detained me for 4 days for calling him illegal IG. And because of that, my passport has been seized by him and the Federal High Court in Abuja. And when I went for the protest for police well-being, serving and retired policemen, they also stole my glasses. And today I have not returned it. So it's a continuation of that particular. I think it's just part of his personal vendetta agenda to continue this. If you look at even the charges or the arrest, if someone is not a flight risk, you've already seized my passport. And you know I won't run away from anybody in this country. Even when I leave Nigeria and I have a case, I'll fly back and attend to my cases. That's been the tradition. Why? What is the essence of the arrest? But I think in their mind, they feel like, okay, we have to solve the Sowore problem. And that was where this last one came from. And, to be honest, the way they treated me when they invaded my cell, I was thinking, oh my goodness, this might be a Steve Biko type of experience where this guy switches either kill me or break my spinal cord. But because they were really they were ruthless, and you
Let's
could
dig
tell
into
that they were
that.
acting under instructions.
Let's dig into that a
Yes.
little, how they treated you in your cell. You talked about a number of people, I think about 8 or 9 heavily armed officers. Can you, I mean, you shared that on X, but can you give us a picture of what exactly happened on the morning that they invaded your cell?
So they sent the cell guard. Typically, when you are in a cell, there's a guy who is known as a cell guard. He holds the key to the cell, or the keys to the cell. And he's usually the person who comes to talk to you if there's need or he checks on you. The cell guard shows up at 5 something and he says, your IPO is here. You are going to court. So I told him to go and call the IPO. He says to me, no, the IPO doesn't come near the cell. But that's not true. You know, if there's anybody that frequents a police cell, is the IPO handling a case or you know, an accused person. So I knew at that point that something was wrong. And then next I saw the cell guard opens the cell and they just rushed in, 8 of them. And it was led by this CSP. I've put out his picture now since Sunday. And he was just backing orders at me. And of course, I said, you can't be backing orders at me if we are going to court. To court. We are not going to a military tribunal. Even if it's a military tribunal, I'm still entitled to contact my lawyers. Of course, he gets really, really upset. And he was backing orders, he was cursing. He said that we know you are very stubborn. They've said this, but this is it. We are not going to let this continue. This started, and then he kept ordering the 2 uniform mopo to carry him, twist, you know, beat him, and then those ones I will. And then at the point when they realized that I was injured, the 2 of them asked him to calm down, and then they took my shirt and wore it for me because they knew I was injured. And at that point, but so I told the 2 who were putting on my shirt for me to let me brush my teeth. This guy returns again with fury. He said, no, you are not brushing your teeth. No room for that. So he then again asked them to force me out of the cell. So they started pushing. Shoving me with my injury, and then they took me, went in 2 cars to Hilos car. He was sitting right in front of me in Hilos car to find that took us to Abattoir. So when he got to Abattoir, he continued. And he was probably shocked that when he got to Abattoir, the ones there probably haven't understood the consequences of what they've done. Just stood aside. And I told those ones, I said, this guy has broken my hand. But they were like junior officers. And it was very early in the morning. So they took me to be detained in the cell. It was from there that I got myself treated. And what then got most upset was that I was treated and that I had a picture of myself in the public domain in bandage. That was what they then got upset at, and they were looking for how did he get himself treated and how did he get pictures of his bandage out there, because it was causing, according to them, public outrage.
Now, Mr. Sowore, finally, just before we let you go, let's talk about your legal and political next steps. Now that you're out on bail, what are your immediate plans, both legally and politically? Will you be pursuing legal redress against the Nigerian police for the way you were wrongfully treated in detention? And how do you intend to continue your activism in light of these new charges? Like you said, you're still going out on the streets today.
We filed fundamental rights enforcement over this, what's known as FREP. It's a lawsuit to enforce my rights. But if I'm sitting here telling you that I believe in the judicial system to protect me, I'll be lying to you. But we take these steps for historical reasons. So we filed FREP. They also have 5 charges. And they contacted me yesterday that I was supposed to be called to face these charges. So I'm likely to leave from this protest to the Federal High Court to face those charges. I'm not afraid of these charges. I know nothing will come out of it. This is completely done to harass and try to silence me. But I'm not the kind of person they can silence. And it's important to let Nigerians know that this will be the fourth time I'll be charged with cyber crime since it was established. I'm probably the only Nigerian that has been charged under the Cybercrime Act for the highest number of times. I was charged by Buhari in 2019 for cybercrime. I was charged by Senator Nedwoko, I think in 2021. I was charged by this IGP in 2025 for cybercrime, and I'm facing a fresh one again. So it's nothing new. But like you know, we have a protest this morning at the NYC Secretariat in Abuja to try and help Rita Ushi get her discharge certificate. So I'll be heading down there. My political work is not going to be affected by harassment. I want people to know that this comes. They should understand that this comes with the territory of my activism, anyways. So it is expected that they will do this and they will do more.
Mr. Sowore, I mean, looking at our time, we're almost out of time for this conversation. But quickly, you said you're stepping out for a mild protest for Ray, the lady who didn't get her NYC certificate. What's your take on that?
Well, she's concluded her NYC and she deserves that certificate. You've seen the position of the NYC that they said she didn't do one clearance in April, but that particular clearance she went for, but they wouldn't accept it because they had planned this outcome after she spoke up against the president's, President Tinubu's disastrous economic policy that's brought hunger and starvation and hardship on the people. So that's what they are punishing her. This is not about that 1 month failure to do her clearance according to them. It's a retaliation for her spoken position against the government. Everybody who knew about her case is aware of this, so they can't fool us with this. So that's why she must be given. And don't forget that this is the fourth time the NYC, or even more, but publicly, Bamidele Aturu was denied his NYC certificate because he was against the government. In those days, he refused to shake hands with the military governor of Niger State. Even Femi Falana, SCN, it took 18 years before he got his NY certificate from the Oputa panel. That was where his NY certificate was released to him. My NY certificate has not been released to me since I finished my service in 1996. So with this is the fourth politically motivated seizure of NYC discharge certificate. That we must end it and have that reform that people who are in service are not in enslavement. They should be able to speak their mind about their country. That is, in my view, the real service to the nation.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speak with you again. Thanks for spending time with us this morning.